Hey, so if you are already tuned in, it's probably going to say on my two of my platforms, YouTube and Facebook page, both called Wisconsin Wine Guy. I decided to go live a little bit early just to get myself a sound check and to make sure my camera angles are okay. So let me turn that camera down just a little bit here, just a wee bit, and bingo, like that. So the camera's down a little bit, and we're doing a sound check. So if someone comes on and they want to check my sound with me, that'd be great. I did a pre-check earlier. You know, this is technology. Strange things happen with technology. So if anyone is on now, I'm just doing a sound check now. I have probably 1 minute before I actually go live and dig into tonight's part 3 of Wisconsin Wines. So if anyone's on, I see two people on. The two people who are looking right now, if you could just tell me what my sound is like, that'd be great. I don't know if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, but just let me know. Looking pretty snazzy. Oh, thank you very much, 𝐀𝐓𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐃, and you can hear me, so that's fantastic. And I now have 1 minute still to go before we get started here. Oh man, this is exciting. I was just thinking today how this was completely unplanned, to start doing this series and talking about Wisconsin wines, that it coincided with Easter. It just happened out that way, that it worked out that I would finish this on Easter. So we're now at the top of the hour. Hey, it's your Wisconsin Wine Guy. I am back giving you another presentation of Wisconsin wines. We're at the top of the hour. It is 6 o'clock. It is Saturday. And you know what that means? Wisconsin Wine Talk time. So I'm going to give you just a quick recap. So we covered, this is a 3-part series talking about Wisconsin wines, and we covered 2 parts. The first part, in case you missed it, you can go back and watch those on the YouTube channel on Wisconsin Wine Guy or on the Facebook page, Wisconsin Wine Guy. The first part was about history and misconceptions. I did some Q&As. Be sure to check that out. You gotta know where you come from in order to know where you're going. So I give you a little history about Wisconsin wines and how it all began, and the wineries who blazed the trail, for all things to come now. Then in part 2, we talked about grapes, the different grapes grown here in Wisconsin. We talked about fruits. We talked about classifications, which is most important. And when I say classifications, classifying the different types of wine and styles, made from grapes and fruits, different types of grapes and fruits. That includes wine grapes grown in the state and wine grapes grown out of the state. So I classified the wines there. So that brings us to part 3. Now, this video series, this part of the series may be kind of short, when we find out, but in each of the videos, I do share a wine from Wisconsin. When I do these shows, I'll be having a wine this evening. You see that when I'm ready to open it. And these are wines that are aged. So these wines are kept in my wine closet. They went from a cellar, to a wine room to a wine closet. They sleep right next to me, but it stays nice and cool, in the spare bedroom for those wines. But I opened up some aged wines. At the time, when all this began, there was still this idea, and that's part of the misconceptions or questions. Are Wisconsin wines age-worthy? So every wine that I opened in this series was an older wine, an aged wine. So we're talking anywhere from 8 to 10 years, maybe. So I'll be showing you what those wines were, so you can maybe go and visit those wineries and maybe taste their current vintages of those wines. So I'll share all the wines with you that I did in the previous 2 videos, and also what I'm doing tonight. All right, so what's this? Wine closet. You like that, huh, Jackie? Yes, wine closet. When you start, moving around, these wines move where I go. In fact, that was probably the hardest thing to move. So I had to move 1 bottle of wine at a time. So now that brings us to part number 3. We are at Easter Eve. I am dressed up, ready for Easter. Hope you're dressed up for Easter Eve, in addition to being dressed up on Easter Sunday. So I thought I'll start it today and have my fun, which is going to be full of wine and food and snacks. And hey, you may be able to catch me on my personal page or maybe on the business page and saying a couple of things. You can ask me some questions. So let's get down to business at hand. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Wisconsin AVAs and wine regions of Wisconsin. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the future, what I think the future holds for the Wisconsin wine industry. So are you ready? If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's dig into it. We'll begin first with AVAs. For those who are unfamiliar with the term AVA, that's AVA, all right, which stands for American Viticulture Area. What is that? Well, it is a designation that is given to areas throughout the country. I mean, there's AVAs throughout the United States. We probably are more familiar with the ones from California. But AVAs are designations that are given out by the federal government. It has to be a submission, like an application process, and it can take up to multiple years to get approval. But this is given out by the TTB. And what it does with this application is submission, you're saying that this particular area, this particular piece of the state, or this particular area, it is, we feel that it should be designated as a wine region or a grape growing area, for its soil composition, for its climate, for the geology, so different things, that make up that area that we're putting in this application process to say, hey, this is an area that is suitable for growing specific grapes and producing specific types of wines, etc. All right, so it can go on and on and on. Hence the French call it terroir. All right, so there you go, terroir, AVA, classifications. It all begins to come together and tie in. So now Wisconsin, I mean, when you think about Wisconsin, we think about the Midwest in general. You don't really think that much about wine, or most people a long time ago didn't take Midwestern wine seriously. And of course, I'm talking about Wisconsin, but I'm also talking about the Midwest as a whole. They didn't take a lot of the wines in the Midwest seriously, but a lot of things have happened in the past 20 years, 20, 25 years throughout the Midwest. Of course, we talked about those Midwestern states that comprise of the Midwestern wine region. Check those out. So there's like 10 states that comprise the Midwestern wine region. We talked about that in number 1, video number 1. So check that out. All right. So a lot of people didn't take the wineries in the Midwestern serious because we were all gaga Google over Hollywood. I say Hollywood, but we say California. And after we got Googled over California, then we got Google-eyed over Oregon, Washington, and then we got Google-eyed over Oregon. And it depends on when you discovered those areas. Of course, we jumped across the ocean, across the pond, and got Google-eyed over many other different areas, wine-growing areas or continents. But now we're here in the Midwest. We've exhausted all of these other areas. Okay. In fact, in some of these other areas, there's so much wine being made that it's almost like combing through the library cards, the old school, before you had computers, going through the library card, Rolodex card, to try to find your library book. All right. So now you're combing through all these other wine regions, trying to find the best wine. But guess what? Here is an area, here is a region, the Midwest, that is totally undiscovered. Not only undiscovered by wine drinkers still, but also undiscovered for its potential of making world-class wine, which is already happening here right now. So if you want to get in the wine business, find some place in the Midwest. It's not overcrowded. So here we go. So now Wisconsin has, I have my notes here, Wisconsin has 3 AVAs. I'm going to give them to you in order of when they were established. And I also talk about the soil makeup and maybe some grapes, that you should probably give a look at, those areas. So first on the list, established in 1994, is going to be Lake Wisconsin AVA. Okay. So the Lake Wisconsin region, AVA, borders Lake Wisconsin and Wisconsin River. So we're talking about, areas like Dane, if you're from Wisconsin, Dane County, Columbia area, I give you a point of reference of a winery, think Vollesheim. All right. In fact, if I recall correctly, I think it was the owners of Vollesheim that started the process to get this as a designated area. All right. So Lake Wisconsin AVA is the first, established in 1994. Now, soil composition, we're talking about an area described with sandy and gravelly loam soils, giving good drainage to the vineyards, and in fact, I think it's pretty warm in that area as well. You have the lake effect, in that area. So lake is balancing out the temperature, maybe cooler summers, warmer falls, during harvest season. So that body of water, has a lot to do with taking advantage or balancing out that climate. Then you have microclimates within the climate itself. So that's a whole lot of extra stuff. Do the research to find out. So Lake Wisconsin AVA is the first established AVA in Wisconsin in 1994. Second, all right, grapes. I can give you grapes. So grapes, that I would say, maybe check out an area. Of course, there's lots of grapes growing in the area, but we're going to talk about grapes that are pretty much well established in that area. So we're talking Foch. Remember the Foch grape? F-O-C-H. That's back here on my grape picture. All right, red grape. Another red grape, Leon Millet. And coming into white, checking out St. Pepin and La Crosse, for grapes in that area. Again, there's many, many grapes grown throughout the area, but these are some of the ones, to check out, take a look in both many different styles, dry and sweet, or maybe even sparkling. Give it a try. So again, that's red, Foch, Leon Millet, and there's probably some Marquette in that area too. But then the best would be St. Pepin and La Crosse. I would say give those a try. Our next AVA it was established in 2012. Want to give Trout Springs Winery, got to give shout outs. Want to give Trout Springs Winery and its owner a shout out for going through the strenuous process, long strenuous process of establishing the Wisconsin Ledge. I'm sorry, take that back. Rewind. Next was going to be 2009. I'm so anxious to go to that because that was a pretty exciting time. So 2009 was established. It was a multi-state AVA, the Upper Mississippi River Valley. Now that is the largest viticulture area all around. We're talking up to 30,000 acres or more or square miles. It's a pretty big AVA. I call it like the multi-state because it has a quad state connection. And the states that are connected, again, speaking about the Midwest, we have Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, and of course, Wisconsin. These states are connected, and we're speaking about the Midwest, that comprise of that Upper Mississippi River Valley AVA established in 2009. And now we're talking about continental type, cool type of area, rolling hills, sloping landscapes. Then your soil composition would be mainly clay, silt, loam, and bedrock and limestone. So I mean, again, pretty interesting. So we're talking about maybe a little bit more minerality in this area, with the different grapes grown there. So again, should be a very interesting tasting wines. Now let's get to grapes. Grapes in this area, we're going to be looking for Frontenac, okay, Marquette, Foch, there's that Foch again. It's in red. In white, La Crosse, a Chardonnay. Now, when I say Chardonnay, you may find some of those in Wisconsin a lot, but you're going to definitely find those throughout the Midwest. Edelweiss and St. Pepin. Those are being white. And again, across the range in styles. We're talking dessert style, we're talking port style, fortified, unfortified, we're talking sparkling, we're talking dry, bold, we're talking light, we're talking sweet. So across the board styles. But these grapes will be some grapes I would say take a look at, in that area. So let's recap quickly. First established AVA, 1994, Lake Wisconsin AVA. All right, grapes, Foch, Leon Millet, in red, white, St. Pepin, and La Crosse. Of course, there's other grapes grown, but check out those. Second, established 2009, and this is established with the United States, and they just say, hey, boom, we're going to carve this section out as an AVA. This is the Upper Mississippi River Valley, established in 2009. Quad State AVA, one of the largest AVA in the United States, and that comprised of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa for our section of the Midwest. Grapes again to check out in red, Frontenac, Marquette, Foch, and white, La Crosse, Chardonnay, in Wisconsin, throughout the Midwest, St. Pepin, Edelweiss, which brings us to our third AVA. Now, before I get to the third AVA, all right, I am going to open up a wine that is produced in the Upper Mississippi River Valley AVA. This wine is coming from Villa Bellezza. All right, Villa Bellezza. It's an Italian. The wines at Villa Bellezza are influenced by Italian wine craft making. All right, so that's pretty cool. Considering their area. So we're talking. It's a little cooler. So we're talking, more like, like an Italian Chianti or Sangiovese or something just light and fruity, but very flavorful. All right. So this is called 𝐀𝐓𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐃. All right. It's funny. Funny thing. One of the grapes in that area is going to be St. Pepin. The town or the area where this wine is located, Villa Bellezza, is St. Pepin. Oh, how cool is that? And for those who are not familiar, that's somewhere near Minnesota. All right. So 𝐀𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐃, this is the 2015. Says it right here. They got their AVA designation, Upper Mississippi River Valley, and this is going to be a blend of two grapes. The two grapes here is going to be Marquette and Foch. Okay, Marshall Foch. So Foch is first listed and then Marquette. I couldn't get the percentages of what it is because some wineries like to keep that information secret. So the blend here is going to be Foch and Marquette 2015. I'm very excited to try this wine. We are now at 2020. So we're 5 years old on this wine. Normally I like to go longer, but for this show, I thought this would be a pretty good wine to do and also to showcase one of the AVAs. Again, this is Villa Bellezza's 𝐀𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐃, a blend of Marquette and Foch, made in the Upper Mississippi Valley AVA. Wow, I'm pretty excited to see what this is going to be like. And I believe they probably still have some of this on hand. Check out that cork. They probably have some more of this on hand at the winery. I'm going to try this in 2 wine glasses. All right. I have my standard tasting wine glass, and I have a really nice, universal Riedel wine glass for red. So we're going to pour it in both and give it a try. Again, that is Foch, Marshall Foch, Foch. Those who are familiar with it, we just simply call it Foch. And then we have the Marquette. Now, the Marquette grape, if those who didn't watch the other video, is one of the newest grapes. All right. So for here, I say Wisconsin, we went Frontenac, then Marquette, and then we have Petite Pearl. I mean, these are grapes that are going to be the lead for Wisconsin in red. So let's give these both a swirl. I mean, check out that color. I mean, this puts me in mind to a Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir. I mean, you really can't get when you put it in the camera view, right? It looks rather dark, but it's actually, a nice garnet color. Beautiful. When you put it up against the white paper, comes to like a little brick red on the tip, coming down to a garnet towards the middle, but you can actually see through it. So it's a very light wine. On the nose, see if we get alcohol count. On the nose, I also should mention that they age their wines in Italian oak casks. I mean, you have to visit that winery. They have a very, very impressive aging room. They have behind this glass wall. You can see these big, huge casks in which they age their wines. It's such a beautiful thing. It is to the individual little barrels, but that is very impressive to see. So you definitely get that toastiness of oak on here. I'm trying to see if I get an alcohol count on this. Most of the wines here in Wisconsin carry alcohol of about between 12 and, as far as dry, 12 and 13%. So here we're looking at 13.3% on alcohol by volume. Oh, that nose. I mean, you get that nice toastiness in the nose. And it totally puts me in mind of a Pinot Noir. And more in line on the nose of Oregon. Wow. And then I always, for some strange reason, when I smell some Pinot Noirs, I think duck a la orange. And that's totally that food impression that I get here. So it tells me this wine's be pretty versatile, with lighter style foods, cheeses, etc. As long as the flavors aren't too bold, but I won't know until I taste it. That's just on the nose. Wow, it's funny. So we got a nice little aeration on both. I'm going to try it first in my standard tasting glass. Wow. Dry, very elegant, subtle, light, deep berry fruit. This is 2015. I wonder what it would be like, another 5 years from now. I have to pick myself up another bottle of this one and see what happens 5 years. Wow. I mean, it's just bursting with fruit flavor. So tart cherry, mm, little dark berry notes, nice acidity, makes my mouth water. And those who follow some of my reviews, whether it be white or red, I love the acid. The wine must be lively. Even if it's a full body wine, make it lively on my palate. I just want to go, bah. I don't want a blah wine, red or white. Now let's try it in my Riedel. Oh, nice, subtle smokiness in the depth of the glass. Wow, fruit comes through. Oh, I must say I enjoy them in both. I like it best in this glass. I think it brings out, accentuates more of the wine structure coming out of this glass here. Wow. But in both glasses, they're nice. Again, very elegant, very nice. Puts me in mind of drinking a Pinot Noir. That was the Villa Bellezza 𝐀𝐓𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐃 2015. Get your hands on that one. The links will be inside the description. So now that brings us to, and that comes from the Upper Mississippi River Valley AVA. And that brings us to our last AVA, which is the Wisconsin Ledge. Wisconsin Ledge was established in 2012. Okay, and then that's when I was giving a shout out to Trout Springs Winery, for doing all the footwork and getting that wine AVA established. Was a really big deal, really big thing. When that happened. And that covers quite a few. When we talk about the Wisconsin Ledge, we're talking about along Lake Michigan. Okay, so excuse me, we're talking areas like Door County, Manitowoc, Kewaunee, Algoma, Fond du Lac, Washington, Port Washington, I should say. So it covers quite a few ranges, a huge range of area along the ledge, the Wisconsin Ledge. Now, soil makeup in that area. Wisconsin Ledge will be glacial soils. Those who know about the Wisconsin glaciers, can relate to that. Glacial soils, gravel, sandy, clay, limestone, and bedrock. Good drainage, excellent growing season, nice temperament, balancing coming off of Lake Michigan. So, I mean, that's great. Now, grapes in that area to look at. Petite Pearl, Marquette, Frontenac, red and Frontenac Gris. It's going to more whites, Frontenac Gris being white, La Crosse, La Crescent, St. Pepin, and I said Frontenac Gris. So again, these are the grapes that I say in these areas that give a look at, So let me do a recap on AVAs. Number one, first established 1994, Lake Wisconsin AVA. Number two, established 2009, the multi-state Upper Mississippi River Valley AVA. And third, the Wisconsin Ledge AVA, established in 2012. So what does all that mean for Wisconsin wines? Well, those who follow AVAs, you follow AVAs and you say, well, wow, in this particular area, we use California, for example. The particular area, California, is known for their Zinfandel. What's it, Paso Robles or Lodi. Take another area and they go to make to Napa and say they're known for their Cabernets. So it has a designation applying to a particular grape growing in those areas that grows well and produces, excellent wine. So what does that mean for the Wisconsin or the Midwest? We're still young. I'll say it. We're still young. A lot of promises. You've watched me taste some wines here on the show. A lot of promises happening here. You watch me taste some older wines. A lot of things are happening. But we're still young with establishing, the grapes. I would say probably one of our oldest wineries, our vineyards in Wisconsin, is probably over 30, maybe almost. I said, over 30, maybe almost 50 years old. Of course, that's some seasons, you may pull up grapes, because of damage, etc. But I would probably say on average, probably that particular vineyard, we're talking about Vogelshine mainly. Maybe there's about 35-year-old vines, Foch planted in that vineyard. So outside of that, probably the average across the state, maybe 8 years, maybe 8 to 10 years average across the state. So still a lot to prove in that regard in establishing what grape is going to do best in what part of the AVA designations, and so that's still being worked out in that case. And I'm looking forward as I taste these wines from different areas, taste the grapes and compare how different they're going to be. So that leads us into regions. Wisconsin regions. Wisconsin also is made up of 5 wine regions. And those 5 wine regions are, 4 wine regions are as follows: Northwoods region, Driftless, Fox Valley region, Glacial Hills region, and Door County region. All right. So let me give this to you again. 5 regions: Northwoods region, Driftless, Fox Valley region, and Glacial Hills and Door County region. So 5 regions. In each of those different regions, we're talking, again, different topographies, different types of land, different types of soil, and different grapes are growing. And we're still establishing, in my opinion, which grapes are going to do best in those different regions. We're starting at the AVA level, so that's all carved out. Now within each AVA, we have regions that fall into those different AVA areas. Like the Door County falls into the Wisconsin Ledge area. The Northwoods, so we're talking like Southwest, in the Driftless, that falls into the Upper Mississippi. So then we have, probably close to the middle of the state, we're having the Lake Wisconsin AVA. So you can see how it gets carved out and how it even gets broken down even further and establishing which grapes are going to represent those areas. And we have lots of time to do that. And that's what's so great about being, I like to say, in a upstart still. And not upstart meaning we just started, but being in a region or an area in which, oh my gosh, you're seeing it all come together. Having had been here for 20 years and watching all of this, 20 plus years, wow, and watching all of this come together is just remarkable. Some of us didn't have the opportunity to see, even though I grew up in California, I didn't have the opportunity to see California come together, the way it did for the wine industry, but I'm having the opportunity to watch closely Wisconsin's wine industry and establishment, of wineries and grapes and et cetera, come together. Now, I don't want to just talk about grapes, because within those regions, all right, within those AVAs, we're still talking about fruit. Remember, 2 fruits that led this charge: cranberry and cherry. Okay, so again, I like to say in Wisconsin, again, there is a palate for every wine and a wine for every palate. So we can never exclude the fruits when we talk about winemaking in Wisconsin. But in this case, we were talking about grapes, etc. So again, recap on the regions: Northwoods region, Fox Valley region, Driftless region, Glacial Hills region, and the Door County or Door region. All right. So again, as I said to you, this is going to be a pretty short one, unless someone has some questions for me, or you can catch me, on a recap. Just wanted to give you that breakdown. Be sure to go back and review the previous 2 videos in this series. There's a lot of information. There's a lot more information, and I have a lot more to tell you over the course of time while drinking a glass of wine. So a lot of stories to be told in each of these glasses of wine. And I want to also, again, give another shout out to the wineries that I showcased in each of the videos. So the first video, we had Stone's Throw. This was the 2012 Riesling. I want to showcase at that time that, that statement of a palate for every wine and wine for every palate goes a long way. We don't only do grapes grown in Wisconsin. We do grapes that are not wine from grapes not grown in Wisconsin. We also make wines from fruit. So I wanted to showcase a wine. This is a off-dry Riesling 2012 from Stone Throw Winery. The next video in the series, part two, where we talked about grape styles, classifications. We went to parallel 44 for I like to call it, Wisconsin style blend. Kind of play on Bordeaux style blend. So Wisconsin style blend. This is from parallel 44. This was a 2008, a blend of about 4 grapes. And then for today's show, we went to Villa Bellezza or Bellezza out of St. Pepin. This is a blend also 2015 of 2 grapes, the Marshall Foch and the Marquette grape. So that's going to conclude this. I told you this was going to be pretty short, so I'm dressed up. I'm going to continue drinking some wine, stacking some food, taking some questions, from other platforms, etc. And as always, I want to say to you, before I say that, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I want to thank you for watching this video. Be sure to visit the wineries. I'll put the links to the winery associations and get your booklet about the different wineries in Wisconsin. Try the different grapes that we discussed here. It's a surprise in every bottle, I like to say. There's definitely a surprise in every bottle. And I want you to enjoy the wines as I've enjoyed these wines over the course of 20 years and its evolution with more to come. So it's your Wisconsin wine guy saying, as always, let your palate be the guide. Have a wonderful Easter. I hope everyone is staying safe in lockdown 2020. And I'll see you next time when we explore more wines in Wisconsin. Bye. Oh, that's good.